now that you've written your plan, what we need to do is check your plan against the impact areas, wisdom, physical, social, and spiritual, and you need to make sure that they're all included, and then you need to evaluate your plan on the basis of the criteria, the 10 characteristics. Now, you'll notice in the handout that you printed out, you'll notice under the slide checking the plan that you'll see that this group, they ask themselves, okay, where in our plan are we demonstrating God's concern in wisdom? Well, that's obviously in step 10. That's the seminar content. Where does physical come in? Well, they said it wasn't planned, but it was a possible byproduct if the husbands took to heart what they learned in the seminar and began to demonstrate their love toward their wives. Number 3, spiritual. Well, that was in step 10. It was in the principles of the content of the seminar that was taught. And then social, they felt that they reflected the God's social concerns in steps 6, 9, and 10 with community and church interaction. So in checking their plan, they went back through the plan and they looked to see, okay, where in the plan are we reflecting these 4 areas of God's concern: wisdom, physical, spiritual, and social. And then next we want to check the plan against the 10 characteristics. And so you'll see in your handout where they felt that each of these characteristics was reflected or not reflected in their plan. And then they asked questions about, was it balanced and focused, and was it ongoing? And once they've done that, then they want to go back to the plan and adjust it to fill in as many of the missing elements as they can. Your first pass-through on the plan isn't going to include all of those things. So after you've done the first pass-through, the first writing, you go back and you check your plan against the characteristics, against the long-term impact, against the 4 areas of God's concern, to just see if they're there. So you adjust the plan. And then, when you finish that plan, then you do it. You carry it out. And so our encouragement to you and your group is that you work on the plan together. You go back and check your plan against the things that we've studied during this lesson. And then you do it. But after you do it, be sure you evaluate your plan. And easily missed in the evaluation of the project is that you don't evaluate it at all. You just do it and you think, oh, wow, that's good. That was great. You need to sit down, evaluate what worked, what didn't work, what could you do better next time through. And then when you've done that and you write a report, then you want to do long-range planning. And you look at this slide and you can see that this particular group looked ahead and they thought, okay, what kind of seed projects do we want to do in these 4 areas? And so in the wisdom area, they have 2, spiritual, they have 2, physical, they have 2, social, they do 2. A number of the churches that have learned to do seed projects, they think ahead. Okay, what are we going to do all during the year? If you do 1 a quarter, that would be 4 seed projects during the year. If you do 1 a month, there will be 12 seed projects. And the whole purpose of this is for you and your church to demonstrate God's love in all 4 areas to the community. And then finally, Some seed projects actually grow, and they become larger than a seed project. As we close this session, I want you to watch a video. Let me give you a little background. In this video, there was a young man that was sent to a vision conference by his pastor because the pastor was bivocational and he worked. And it was a small Free Methodist church in a slum in Nairobi. And this young man was a high school graduate, but he was unemployed. So he was sent by the pastor. He said, I can't go to this seminar. Would you go and come back? So when he came back, the pastor said, what did you learn? He said, well, I learned that we're supposed to demonstrate God's love here in our community. The pastor said, and how do we do that? He said, well, I don't know, but they taught us that we begin by praying and asking God, what does he want us to do with what we have? And the pastor said, what we have, we have nothing. We're meeting in a small space. We practically crowd out the space with 13 people that are full members of the church, baptized members of the church, plus the others. And he said, you know, I'm the only one that I know of in all of our membership that has a job. And this young man, Meshach, responded. He said, Pastor, I don't know what we're supposed to do. But we were told, let's begin by praying. So they did. They prayed. As they were praying, they heard children running around outside. Children that should have been in school, but there was no school in Kagishu. And so they decided that what they could do as a seed project was to see if the parents of these kids in their slum community would be interested in sending them to this small building where they held church as one room, and the unemployed high school graduates of the church could volunteer to teach their kids how to read. That was the seed project. Just find out if there's an interest. They did that. That was the seed project. But what happened as a result of that seed project was that in the subsequent years, that school ended up with over 400 kids. They had a staff of 20 that were paid. Other schools had been started. Actually, as a result of this demonstration of God's love, 4 new churches sprung up, and the members were parents of those children that were being provided an education. Today there's a secondary school. And one day, a number of years later, I asked this young man who'd come to the seminar, I said, would you come and share the experiences with a seminar conference I'm going to be giving? And he came. On the way, he said, Bob, I have a question. I said, what is it? He said, you taught us how to plant a seed. Now I need to know, how do you manage a forest? I said, Meshach, I don't have a clue. But there are people who do in your community who are running schools. Go visit them. Ask them the questions that you have. Well, these ongoing projects, the multiple schools, preschools, primary schools, a secondary school, none of these are seed projects. They're way too big. But the seed project produced a forest. And sometimes that'll happen. But you don't expect that it will. You just do what God has called you to do. And what Meshach felt that God had called them to do was check out to see if the parents in the community would be interested in having their unemployed high school kids who did not have teacher certificates to teach their kids how to read. That was the seed project. They were interested. They started school with something like 13 kids. I want you to watch the video. And as you watch it, ask God, God, show us what it is that you want us to do. Whether it grows into a tree or a forest or not is okay. We just want to be obedient to what you've asked us to do. May God bless you as you plan and execute your seed project.
Nairobi, Kenya, Africa. The commercial, cultural, and recreational hub of East Africa. Home to nearly 2.5 million people. Diverse, multiracial, economically unbalanced. 33% of the city's population lives and works in the city. The remaining 2/3 of Nairobi's population live in slums so congested and filthy that even city officials avoid them as often as possible. Virtually all slum residents view themselves as stuck in endless poverty. One of the toughest slums in the city of slums is Kagishu, which means the knife. In 1997, the 15-member congregation asked Meshach to attend a vision conference and report that which he learned. Meshach returned with a new vision of what God can do through believers absolutely committed to showing the love of Jesus Christ in practical, holistic ways.
I was a very good Christian before, and I knew I was saved by then. I could tell other people about Jesus. But there's one thing that I had not known, that doing God's will is not optional. I had not known that. So I came to realize from that vision conference that doing God's will is a must. You don't need to do it or to live it, but it's a must. We are requested by God that we should extend His love to other people.
Together with Meshach, Pastor Toby, his wife in Dismas, an elder at the church, began praying about what seed project their church could do to demonstrate God's love in their community. Even though the church was materially poor, they believed in spiritual resources beyond their own physical capabilities.
It came after we had a committee of the church, and then we decided that we should choose somebody to attend the seminar. Then we saw that Meshach was able. We chose him, prayed for him, and we sent him.
Motivated by the Spirit of God, the church opened a primary school to educate the children of Kagishu and help them rise out of poverty. Meeting in one room with no books, no desks, no equipment of any kind, and no training and education, but a belief in God bigger than themselves, the school opened with 13 students.
We used the church premises to begin the school. In fact, it was just a room, a single room. And it was in that single room that we placed all these children. As the number increased, we continued to divide the children into groups according to age and what they had learned before. So if you had ever been in class 2, we put you in a given group. If you have ever been in class 3, we put you in a given group. So we had about 4 teachers now. So we had to divide them. One teacher facing west, another one facing east, another one facing north, another one facing south. And we could help those children in that class. We did that for quite some time.
Before long, the sacrificial activity of this small church attracted the attention of other Christians in Nairobi and even abroad. Others began to help financially. At the end of the first year, the school had grown to over 200 children and a staff of 10. Today it has over 445 students, 16 teachers, 4 non-teaching staff, more than 200 newly baptized church members, and 4 churches planted in nearby communities. In addition, several businesses now exist because of the church's investment in the school. And Kagishu is becoming a desirable place to live and work. The spirit of residence is becoming so positive that the community has a new name, Ryuta. That means withdrawing something dangerous.
We began this school with about 13 children. Right now, the school has grown. We have 445 children. From this school, other schools have come up, and the church is using the schools to minister to other people in the whole country. Other 4 schools have come up, which are being taken care of by the church. But from the work this school has done, the church has really grown. We were just a fellowship by then. The fellowship has grown. It has grown into a local church, from a local church into a parish. So today we can talk of 4 local churches that are in this parish. And we have about 200 members, full members that I can call Free Methodists.
Because of God's faithfulness, the little church in Kagisho is now starting a preschool and a secondary school.
We prayed first because we believe that unless we pray, there's nothing good that can happen. And therefore believe that when we pray, we have the genuine relationship, communication with God. Now when we pray, we are seeing things are coming to be easy. Because at times you have challenges, problems here and there. But when we are praying, we are seeing God coming in. Friends coming in and saying, oh, we can help here.
Most important, both church members and town residents have seen the love of Jesus Christ demonstrated and multiplied time after time after time.